And we're back. Five Musketeers. What's up, guys? It has been so long since I've had the opportunity to get out and go fishing. It's just been absolutely insane. If it's not one thing, it's another. Busy, busy, busy. Busy, busy, busy. Anyway, back out here at Brays Bayou, my favorite fishing spot of all time, really. Gonna try to catch as many carp as possible today, and I ran across a guy over there walking his dog, who's apparently very familiar with the fact that there's good fishing in here. And you can tell that not because people see you with a fishing rod and they're like, oh, are you fishing? But when they ask you questions about your bait that only a fisherman knows to ask, then you know they know what's up. And he told me, he said, walk down this way, there's an outlet, and I see tons of fish down there. And I've already seen a couple of fish along the way, really fantastic conditions. If you look out there behind me, this rain has brought the water level up quite a bit, which is wonderful. And I always get a little bit nervous when that happens, because on the one hand, the current gets faster, but sometimes it just really turns the fish on. He said, over here there's an outlet, and he said there's tons of fish congregating around it, which just makes perfect sense. That's exactly what I would expect to happen around an outlet after a heavy rain. So I've just got two rods, the center pin reel, and then actual carp rod, 3-pound test curve, 10-foot carp rod, which I wish was like a 2.5-pound test curve, but I can only find those 14 feet long, and I don't like super long rods. I'm gonna try, not exactly right here on the corner, I'll walk back right over here, just a few meters. Yeah, I can see some fish down there too. Alright, this looks to be a good spot. I'll set up camp right here. Alright, so I'm starting off with a method feeder here, and then just a few inches down, just a piece of bread. I don't like to get too fancy. It just takes too long, and for this type of fishing, it's just really not necessary. I mean, we're not fishing an English lake that's, 100 acres in width, and we have to be absolutely perfect, and the fish won't take. Down in Brays Bayou, you can get away with being a little bit quick in your preparation. Not sloppy, but quick. Anyway, so I'm just gonna use my hand to kind of cup a little bit of this bread over this method feeder. This bread, it's oatmeal, some water kind of mixed in to make it soft, and then a bunch of lard. Really put a good scent trail in there, and also makes it really sticky, which is really, really helpful. All right, especially in fast-moving currents, if you want to keep a method presentation working the way it should, that'll work. I'm just gonna toss that out. Probably just underhand pitch this, to be honest. Got a bit of heavier line here, so I've got, obviously a 10-foot rod, and that's a Shimano OC bait runner. 14-pound line. I got broken off a number of times last time with some lighter line, so a little bit heavier line to try here. See how that works out for us. Just gonna pendulum swing this thing out. There we go. I don't want it to go deep. I want to avoid that channel in the middle if possible. All right. Make sure this thing is set light. There we go. The problem with fishing spots like this, where you have this, not a super strong current, but a decent current, is that the further out you cast, the more of your line is in the water, which not only means there's more line to be pulled on by the water, but there's also more of a chance that trash floating downstream is going to catch your line. So you just got to be really studious of the water and what a fish looks like versus what anything else looks like. And after a while, you learn to tell the difference. So when a trash bag floating in the water touches your line, you don't freak out and start reeling it in. And when a fish takes off with your bait, you don't sit there thinking, oh my God, people keep leaving the trash in this water. All right, for the second rod, got this thing right here. I love this thing. Cage feeder. I've got a little BB shot there to stop it so it has kind of a bolt rig effect. Coming down about 12 inches to a very small hook, and what I'm gonna use for bait, I'm gonna pack this full of ground bait, obviously. But for bait, I'm gonna use actually a piece of cheese. And I don't think I wanna use that whole piece. Actually, I changed my mind, I'm going to. So the way I'm gonna hook this, I'm not gonna hook it straight through. I'm gonna push the hook up through the bait, like so, and you can see it coming out the top there. Pull it through, turn it, so that the hook just comes right over the edge. Just like that. That should work nicely. Pack this full of ground bait. Toss it out. I'm gonna go down to the bottom of the barrel here and get all the loose bits. Yeah, see that chunky piece right there? We don't want that. We want some smaller pieces that'll kind of flow out of it. You gotta be careful because some of it's actually getting in the feeder. Dropping the rest. I like to squeeze a little bit on the outsides. That's usually the first bits to flake off. Is whatever you squeeze on the outsides. It's always, I think, helpful to do. There we go. That looks beautiful. All right. I brought my towel today too, so bait hands, fish slime hands, dirty water hands, no more. Ah! All right, now we're just waiting for one of these rods to go screaming out. Let me show you what we've got for bait today. It's actually more of a question of what we didn't bring for bait today. So I'll keep my eyes out. Thank you very much. All right, so I saw some fish over there. Way over there, you should go catch them. Decides to walk over and be like, you know what? I've seen a lot of people's cars get broken into over here. I just thought I should let you know. Like, jackass, then why'd you recommend I walk 200 yards away from the car? So now we're walking back. We're not giving up fishing. We're just moving closer to the car. I'm not the paranoid type, but at the same time, out of all the cars in the parking lot, mine's got the most stuff in it. Whew, what a day it is. All right, guys, we came to a new spot. Spot with some stairs. And I thought this would be really useful because if I net a fish, or I have to net the fish, walk down the stairs, walk back up, without slipping and sliding all over the steep concrete. And right as we walked up to it, I looked down and I saw 3 really good sized commons just cruising. I mean, clear as day. This water's pretty clear in the shallows, and you can see the red orange tail, golden scales, just the most beautiful thing you could ask for as a carp fisherman. So the method is ready. I saw these fish right about there and they bolted off a little bit, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast just upstream of them, just so that the scent carries down, attracts them and anybody else up. So let's put it right down there. A few swings, make sure I got everything the way I want it. Money. That cast is money. Make sure that anytime you're fishing a steep embankment like this, make sure that bait runner's set. Even if you have a good bait runner, don't overweight the rod so that so much of it is teetering over the edge, because even with that bait runner on, the slightest tip is going to start it sliding downhill. And I know that from experience. It's not fun. And there's been a couple of rods that I only still have today because I was either close enough to the water, quick enough, foolish enough to jump in, or the water was clear enough that I could find it afterwards to get it back out. So anyway, at least 2/3 of the rod on this side of the bank. I'm really excited now. Let's get that other rod out there. All right, I can see them, they're back. So I put the second rod out. Down behind me, you can see that big disturbance over there. But I see the carp. A couple of them went over here to this side, and they're just cruising around. Really beautiful ones. There's one that's just the typical common with the golden scales and the red flare. These fish are getting closer. But there's a couple of them that are just much darker in coloration. And I've only caught one like that before, where in between each scale there was this very clear defined black tone. Just makes a gorgeous fish. Absolutely lovely. Would love to catch one. Oh, right there, right there, right there. There's a fish. There's a fish coming upstream. I don't know if you can see it. There's a fish coming upstream right there. He stopped. I think it's an Asian grass carp. I think it's an Asian grass carp. He's right between the two rods right now. And he's being followed. He's got more fish behind him. Oh, this is such a good sign. This was the right move coming back over here. Yeah, there he is. He's just kind of hanging out between the baits now. He's kind of stopped. Hopefully he'll pick up on the scent of one of them. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, and I lost him. Lost him. Hook bait's still on there, which is a good sign. Okay, let's get the bait back out. They're still there, they're still hungry. Something important I've noticed over the years, or I've learned over the years, not noticed, learned. Don't get too nervous when the fish are around you. Don't start freaking out and try to go too fast. It is like the great samurai Musashi Miyamoto once said, to go slow is to go smoothly, and to go smooth is to go fast. Alright. I see that carp still sitting there. I'm kind of hoping I don't scare him with this, but honestly, I think the way they're feeding right now, I think even if I do, he'll be back pretty quick. Let's see, get another coil undone here. Yeah, you saw that. But they'll be back. They don't know what that was. Whew, big fish on. Big fish on. Took this almost on the drop. Yeah, it looks like a, oh yeah, good carp. Whew. Don't want to lose this one. Oh, he's beautiful. Constant pressure, not too much. There's a fish hitting my other rod right now too. Okay, just bring him in right at the base of the stairs. I gotta hurry, then there's another fish is, ah, dang it. Okay. Fish is taking my other bait. Put him down for 2 seconds. All right, and we're back. There was no fish on the other line. It just lost its grip and went downstream. Finally, we got a fish. Perfectly lip hooked. Easily unhooked. Let me show you this guy. He's not as big as I thought he was, but man, he put up a good fight. I got to account for the current being stronger than usual for some of that fight. Just a wonderful animal. Big bright orange tail. Not quite as shiny as some, but it's also very cloudy out right now, so there's not as much sunlight to reflect off of him. Just beautiful, finally. What a result. Just a wonderful animal. Let's get him straight back. See if we can't catch another one. Bigger fish on. Bigger fish on. It's an Asian grass carp, it looks like. Yeah, good sized one. Took the method. Now I just gotta get this net. Oh. See if I can bring you guys. Decent sized fish. All right, show you guys. This is a nice one. Gotta be quick. These Asian grass carp give a great fight on the line, but once they're out of the water, two things you'll notice. Number one, they tend to bleed heavily, even from the smallest wound. Number two, they don't have a lot of life left in them to do long expositions, so I need to get him unhooked and back out. Get the hook out here. All right, hook's out. You'll see a little bit of blood, but that is normal with these grass carp. I don't know why it is, but they just bleed from the mouth quite a bit. But decent sized fish. There you go. Look at the size of his mouth. Huge. No wonder he took that whole piece of bread. That's a good 10-pound fish. You know, pushing 10. Big paddle of a tail. Lovely golden scales. You know, I think the overcast weather is one of the reasons why we're catching good carp and seeing so many carp. But unfortunately, it just doesn't show off the sheer beauty of these animals quite the same. Anyway, lovely fish. Glad to have him. Time to put him back. We already have a bite. I just recast. Set you guys over here. I just recast the center pin reel, and I was coming up to set the method feeder again, and this thing's already bouncing around. Come on, I want it to commit. It's most of what you see at first when you're using a feeder, when you see the rod bouncing, it's fish hitting the feeder. So you get your method feeder or your cage feeder, and they're trying to get the food out of it. And then when the pieces start getting scattered and they pick those up, they inevitably grab your hook bait. So somebody, city worker, is probably mowing upstream a good long ways. I mean, I can't hear any machinery, but I know that this area gets mowed from time to time by the city. And there's just, it's blue heron, there's just an enormous amount of grass that you can tell has just been cut floating downstream. Just, it came out of nowhere. It's like a wall of it just suddenly started drifting down, making the fishing extremely difficult. Just keeps getting tangled up. Every single time I cast something out, it just gets weeds all over the line. Very, very frustrating stuff. It'd be more frustrating if we hadn't already caught a couple of good fish. Nevertheless, these are the challenges you're presented with fishing a narrow, fast-moving current, is that anything at all coming down that current is very likely to encounter your line. You also have to consider that if you've got a decent amount of line out in the water, that the bow of the line in the current is going to be kind of indicative of where the current flow is the strongest. So if you think about your line being out there, wherever that current flow is the strongest, that's where the line's going to kind of bow out a little bit. And that's also going to be, you know, where the most material floating on top of the water is going to get funneled into. So wherever your line kind of bows out, you'll notice you always seem to catch up on snags in that spot. It's almost like by magic. But it's not, it's just by the current. The current is funneling all these objects floating on top of it to the same area, including your fishing line. It's very frustrating. Cast this back out. Just see all this vegetation floating down. One more fish on. Good sized one too. Or at least a good fighter. Gently coax him in. Oh, that's a nice common. Let's try to net this guy. In the net. In the net. Let me show you this guy. Let me show you this guy. Perfectly corner hooked means easily unhooked. There we go. These common, they're not big, but God, they are so pretty. Really just the loveliest fish I think you could ask to catch. Look at that. Fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it. And this one's pretty. Really beautiful fish. And that red, orange. Look at the colors on the tail there. I don't know if you can see that. Just absolutely lovely. Striking colors. Just beautiful. Goodness. Yeah. Quite pleased with that. It's a good fish to end the day on. Wonderful. All right, let's get him back. There he goes. Off to fight another day. Got that guy on the cage feeder there.